the DA's Cilliers Brink says he's ready to improve service delivery in Tshwane. He beat Cope's Ofentse Moalusi to mayoral chains. The metro has been leaderless since the former mayor, Moloko was busted for falsifying an insolvency rehabilitation certificate. eNCA's Moloko Moloto spoke to Brink about his plans for Tshwane.
Well, it's been a turbulent roller coaster for the Tshwane Metro and for the people of the capital city. They have not had a mayor in the past days since the unceremonious resignation of the disgraced Moalusi. And of course, there have been attempts to elect the new executive mayor for the capital. Ultimately, Tshwane now has the executive mayor, Cilliers Brink, 35 years old. He is an LLB graduate from the University of Pretoria. Until recently, he was Member of Parliament. He is back now as the #1 citizen of the capital city. Let's bring him into the conversation. Cilliers, thank you so much for your time. Surely you were here before, you went to Parliament, you definitely have a clear understanding of the issues here. You have outlined what your priorities are, but I want you to tell us what would be the non-negotiables as you now take this office, the things that would really not be tolerated from your side.
So it is critically important that we get control of the finances of the city. If we don't do that, we can't secure a reliable supply of services. If we don't take fairly bold measures to get control of finances and to ensure that there's value for what people pay in rates, tariffs and charges, then Tshwane is going to end up another Mangaung. That is not what we want. We want to build a world-class capital city, a city that works and one that works for all of its people. The second non-negotiable, this government must be one, as I mentioned, that works for all of the people. A city that works and one that is inclusive and that creates a better living opportunities for everyone aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, if you don't have a city that works, you can't have one that is inclusive and that creates opportunities for people to lift up.
Almost all the political parties represented in council congratulated you. But what really struck me was the message from the Freedom Front Plus leader, who said that there has been a lot of corruption over the years. So many things had been swept under the carpet, and it's about time those issues are confronted. I'm not too sure whether you do have an idea of the intensity of corruption in this municipality. Of course, he was clear that he doesn't actually care as to under whose administration those things have happened.
What we find, we have to clean out. That is as simple as that. The Auditor General had found that controls in the city have broken down, and when you have a breakdown of controls, you simply don't know all of the things that are going wrong. We've got a hint that the city is in serious financial difficulty. That hints at we're not getting value from tenders being issued by the city. We're not collecting what is due to the city. We don't know what's happening with payments in the city. So getting a proper idea of what the books looks like, restoring financial controls, and then dealing with the consequences, whatever those consequences might be. It's clean out time, because if we don't do that, if we're not candid about the extent of things that have gone wrong, we've got no hope of fixing them.
All right. The 10 billion rand irregular expenditure, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to use your majority and then sweep it under the carpet and condone it and then move on?
So what's important to note about the 10 billion is it is over a period of 10 years. It's accumulated irregular expenditure over 10 years. That includes the Payo smart meter contract that was adopted by the city when Sputla Ramagopa was the mayor, that we set aside when Salim Simanga became the mayor. That includes the Tshwane broadband contract, which the city is still bound to, but tried to get out of. That includes the irregular payments under the Tshwane free Wi-Fi contract.
Does it include the Glad Africa?
Certainly includes Glad Africa. And if there are consequences that need to be doled out because of Glad Africa or any other contract, that must be done. So I think the reason why the figure is so big, 10 billion, you mentioned condoning it. And I think there was a reticence to condone it, because if you condone it, you say to a certain extent, we can't recover this anymore, and I think there were many investigations that now need to be finalized. If there's money to be recovered, it must be recovered. If it's not recoverable, we must state so. But if there are criminal and disciplinary implications from those contracts, also very important, from the Rooiwal wastewater treatment plant, there are serious disciplinary charges against senior officials. That can't just be swept under the rug, and it won't.
Finally, then, Executive Mayor, the 26 billion rand deal that former Executive Mayor Randall Williams wanted to push, come rain, come shine. He was determined to make sure that it succeeds. What is its future?
So, first of all, that was a sincere attempt by Randall Williams and his administration to generate or to unlock private electricity generation using the assets of the city. As you know, we've got 2 coal-fired power plants that haven't been in use for many years, more than a decade, Rooiwal and Pretoria West. Obviously, because our coalition partners couldn't reach, or we couldn't reach agreement with our coalition partners on the model that was proposed by the mayor, we have to go back to the drawing board. One of the suggestions is to go out on a request for proposals, to say to people, to say to the market, we've got these potential assets, we desperately want to become less dependent on Eskom. Let's unlock whatever we can using those 2 inlets into the grid. And let's do what they've done in Ekurhuleni, in Cape Town, and bring alternative energy online, because certainly we cannot depend on Eskom to provide electricity.
So the assurance is that you're not going to pursue that unsolicited bid?
So that has already been voted down. We cannot go back to something that's been voted down. And of course, we listen to legitimate criticism. The legitimate criticism was that it would be better to take an idea like that to the market instead of a sole supplier. That's a good idea. That's one of the possibilities. But the point is, we need to become energy independent. Whatever the type of contract, whatever the supplier, we need all of the possibilities to generate our own electricity.
Thank you so much for your time. Cilliers Brink is the 3rd Executive Mayor for the city of Tshwane since the 2021 local government elections. Of course, he's got a mammoth task. He has to ensure that this city meets the April 14 deadline that's been set by the Provincial Treasury Department for this city to pass the midterm budget adjustment budget and also the 2023-2024 budget. Moloko Moloto, Tshwane.